everybody, what's up? Welcome to my channel, Simply Michelle, with yours truly, Michelle here. If you are new and stopping by for the first time, I hope that you will decide to subscribe and become a part of the tribe. And if you are returning, thank you so much for the love and support. Also, if you are returning and you have not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Like, if you keep returning to my channel, apparently you like my content, you vibe with my content. So go ahead and do yourself a favor and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you click that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload new content. All right, y'all, let's get into it. So, this interview with Tammy Rivera and Carlos King, I really appreciated Tammy's transparency in this interview with Carlos King. And I'm actually glad that she waited until she was actually ready to have the interview, because she did state that, Carlos had came to her. Her and Carlos were talking about how he had already came to her and tried to, have an interview with her, but, she had turned him down a few times because she wasn't ready. So I'm glad that she decided to wait until she was ready to have the interview. I do like, she spoke about her humble beginnings, her background, and the situation with her mother being on drugs, and how her mom was able to get clean. That was beautiful. But the highlights of the interview, for me, that I wanted to discuss on my podcast is her relationship with Waka Flocka and the breakdown, and also her relationship with her new boo. So let's get into it. One of the things that she said that stood out to me about her relationship with Waka Flocka. So um, I do love the way Waka, um he went that extra mile. He went the distance to let everyone know that, that he was interested in her, that he really liked her, and he wanted to be with her, with the grand gestures in the beginning when they first met. However, his infidelities and other issues in the relationship is what just, caused things to breakdown. And she said even after he stopped, cheating, she held some resentment towards him because of things that he had did previously, which is normal when you are in a relationship and the other person is cheating and lying, and you're finding out all these things. You're seeing this stuff on their phone, and you're hearing people coming up to you and tell you they saw your husband here, and they saw him there with this person and that person, and it's just a lot. And she did talk about how that put a strain on the relationship. So one of the things that she said really stood out to me, and she told Carlos, she said, when you go through so much stuff in your relationship, you lose respect for the other person. And what happened was they had went through so much in their relationship, she started to lose respect for Waka in the relationship. And that's completely, totally normal. When you're in a relationship, you don't see that person the same anymore, especially after, just repeated, cheating, toxicity, things of that nature. You start to see the person in a different light. You just don't see them the same anymore. Um, and her saying that, that really stood out to me. That's actually a thing, that is something that happens. And so that's what made her. Now, she did tell Carlos that, Like I mentioned earlier, she did tell Carlos that when he stopped cheating and he changed for the better, she said that's when she had turned into, you know, a B word. That's what she said. That's when she had started, she was harboring that resentment towards him. And so anytime she said they would drive past a restaurant or anything like that, she would bring up how, he took, some other woman to that same restaurant, and she said she would have to catch herself and be like, hold up, that was 6 years ago, whatever like that. So you can really tell that she did a lot of healing. She did a lot of maturing. I liked just the growth and the accountability that based on what she said, her and Waka, it seems like they both matured. They both experienced growth and accountability within their relationship, and the time spent um with each other. And the thing about healing is that, and I'm glad that she got to a place where she was able to heal the situation. She was able to heal um from what her and Walker had went through together. She did say that when they divorced, um that they thanked each other for being in each other's lives for 10 years, and what they learned from each other, and what they what they gained from each other, and how they grew. And that was really beautiful. That was beautiful. It showed maturity, it showed growth and accountability. um Healing allows you to see things more clear and from a higher perspective when you do the healing work. And I love how she speaks about how she went from, holding resentment towards him to actually doing the healing work. She was able to see things from a higher perspective. And that's why healing is essential when you get out of toxic relationships. So even though he did get to a place where he, had stopped cheating, which is good. He started to somewhere down the line, he started to see the error of his ways, and he really wanted to change. He wanted to make a change for the better. So that was really good. But the thing about it is, once he got to that point, Tammy was already fed up. She had already had enough. She was already done. The damage was done. And so even though he had finally gotten to a place of changing and wanted to change for the better, and probably seeing how his actions impacted her as well as the relationship, by that time, then it was too late. Tammy had already kind of like checked out. She had already checked out. Her emotions were not there anymore. Um, but both people or one person can outgrow a relationship, especially a relationship that's toxic. At some point in time, you got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired, especially if the person that you're in a relationship with, they're constantly doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And she did say that when he did stop cheating, when he did get to the point where he stopped cheating, she said it was just other little things that would bother her or aggravate um, her about him. So that's how, that's a clear telltale sign when somebody is just, they're done. The things that wouldn't normally, bother you or have an effect on you about that person, now it's almost like the sight of that person just repulses you. It's like you're repulsed by the sight of that person. If they do something, or it's just like, ugh, yuck, whatever. And so that's basically what she was explaining. That's what she was talking about. So I want to pause right here and show this clip that I got from the interview with her and Carlos King talking about, um, you know, the breakdown in her and Waka's relationship and how she handled it. So let's take a look.
Good rapport, and it's so much respect there. And that was more so, that was the whole point of us, like, me leaving the relationship sooner. Like, I knew that I was losing respect for him, and I'm like, I'd rather lose. And people were like, oh, that sounds dumb, but for me it was true, because we always had such a good friendship. I'm like, I'd rather lose my husband at this time than to lose my friend. I don't want to. I have so much respect. I don't want to lose respect for him. After a while, when you go through so much stuff, you lose respect for a person. I didn't want that to be us, so I gracefully bowed out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? I love you. I'm not in love with you no more. Um, you know, and I was honest. I'm like, I don't want to be cheating. I don't want to cheat on you. I don't want to. I'd rather just leave. Like, I don't want to become a person that I'm not.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Was the final straw for you just like the cheating thing? Was that just
No, it actually wasn't. I like that. That was like, it got to a point where that stopped.
Okay.
It got to a point where he grew up, and that wasn't the issue anymore. It was other little issues that we had within our marriage. But little inconsistencies that I would complain about over the years. But I think the marriage was so strained from past stuff. Like, you have to heal. I wasn't healed. I was like, I found myself being like, ugh, don't touch me. Like, leave me alone, because I lost the respect. Because it's like, once you go through so much stuff, like, the more and more you go through, it's like a scar each time, and you become a different person.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I was that person. And then, like, now when I look back sometimes at certain things, I'm like, damn, I was a mean. And he was accepting them, like, me. It wasn't accepting, because we would get into it, but he was like, a part of him was giving, like, damn, I deserve that. I done did so much shit. I see why she talked to me like that. I see why she, you get what I'm saying? And he didn't deserve that either. And because at the same time, I chose to stay. So I chose to stay, and the outcome of me staying changed me. So now when he's changed for the better, I'm a bitch.
So, another thing that I wanted to touch bases on was Tammy's new boo. We are all entitled to our own opinions. I am entitled to my opinion as well. But I do have some concerns about Tammy's new man. And this is just my opinion. I kind of feel like this new boo is almost kind of like her feeling like she needs to prove that she's moved on from Waka by having someone else, by being with someone else. It's almost kind of like I've moved on, and I found me a real good man, and this is it for me. And it sounds like you're trying it. Honestly, this is what it sounded like to me. It sounded like she was talking to her ex. Now, I know she said that her and Walker is cool. They are friends. They talk to each other, um, on a regular basis now. He's even met, Walker has met her new boo, all of that. That is beautiful. That is wonderful. But it is still giving when she goes into talking about her new boo with Carlos King. It just, you know, and I was going to highlight the comment section. I was going to highlight Carlos King's comment section, but I decided not to. But it's given like you're trying to convince somebody that you are happy with this new man. This new man is the one. He is everything. He is Okay, let me get into it. Tammy told Carlos that her new boo is God sent and that he is a godly man. And he told Tammy that he was a man of God. And she said they've even had, debates and stuff about the Bible. And they have both, gotten their Bible and they're looking at scriptures, and he's breaking down the scriptures for her, and telling her what this is, and what that is. And then Carlos King says, "How did you meet?" And then she says, at the club, they met each other at the club, and then they went to the strip club. Okay, they went to the strip club, they got a private room, and they was throwing money in a private room, which means they had, dancers and stuff in there, in the private room. She said that they got really drunk and those were all red flags to me. That is not a man of God. A man of God, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion. If you want to come for me in the comments, you can come for me in the comments. I do not care. A man of God is not hanging out at the strip club. A man of God is not in a private room. And a man of God is not at the strip club getting really drunk. Not if you're a man of God. Now, if you are a man who loves God, cause you can be a person that loves God and still got a lot of work and stuff that you got to do on yourself. But when you're calling yourself a man of God, those definitely have two different meanings to them. Most definitely. Um, and the two just don't mix. And I should have, I almost screenshotted the comment section, like I said, but I did not screenshot the comment section. But so many people were saying exactly what I was thinking, especially men who manipulate using spirituality. Knowing what Tammy has been through, and then her not too long after getting out of her relationship with Waka. Even though her and Waka got to a better place, they got to a place of growth, maturity, healing, taking accountability. But yes, there was still those infidelities and things like that that took place in the relationship, which you have to heal from. No one is completely healed. The healing process continues. Okay. You don't just, do a little bit of healing work. You wake up one day and boom, you're healed. You still have to make progress while you're on your healing journey. I honestly feel like this new boo, and just because someone pursues you does not mean you have to settle for them. And I'm not saying that she's settling. She chose, you know, this man. She said that he kept pursuing her until she decided to hang out with him. So he already knew who she was right off rip. He already knew who she was. And then the fact that he says, "Oh, he's a man of God." And if you have not seen the interview, go look at the interview. The way that she describes her new boo, he does sound like a spiritual manipulator. This is just my opinion. However, this is her relationship. As always, we do not know every detail and every in and out of, these people personal lives and their relationship, but it just raised a lot of red flags. And sometimes you have men who will prey on women, and they are very calculated. You have men that will prey on women that will use spirituality as a manipulation tactic. Okay, first of all, she is a public figure. All right. So that's another one. Okay. And then number three, she was not too long, had been divorced from Waka, and what she experienced in her marriage. Even though her and Waka are in a good place, yes, healing does not happen overnight. Healing takes time. Healing takes time. So it's like she was also stumbling over her words when she got to this part about her quote unquote new boo. And I'm saying it like that because I don't feel like, and once again, this is my opinion. I don't feel, but this is her life, you know. But the whole purpose of my my channel and my podcast is to learn the lessons. So that's the whole reason why we talk about these things, and we talk about different topics. We talk about different topics to learn the lessons so we can spot the red flags, but we also talk about, love too, loving again, dating again, healing, things of that nature, because it all ties in together. But I definitely want to know, um if any of you out there, if you have seen the interview, I would definitely love to know your thoughts and opinions on the situation with her new boo. And I also took a clip from the interview as well, and I want to play that for y'all so y'all can see that.
You have a new boo.
Yes.
Talk to me about that, honey, because do you feel like you found the one?
Yes, this is definitely like, this is, oh, he is amazing. Like, he is like he's the end for me. That's it. That's it. That's, yes. He's, I didn't ever think that, like, I know God sent him to me. He's like, he's, oh my God, he's just a great person. Like, he's genuinely an amazing person, an amazing man, like a godly man. Like, and when I say godly, he do not play about the Lord. Like, and it was so crazy and refreshing to me when I first met him. Actually, we used to clash when we first met about the Bible, because he's like, I'm a Christian man. And I'm like, well, I don't call myself a Christian, but I believe in Jesus. Yeah. I just don't like categorizing myself as anything. And he's like, no, I'm a Christian man. Like, and we would talk about the Bible. I'm like, well, I don't agree with that. He was like, but let me bring it back here. Like, he like, let's get the Bibles out. Like, we would literally debate about the Bible. And he's 35, I'm 39. But he don't play about his word. And it was refreshing to me because he didn't back down, and he didn't feel like, oh, I don't want to push too much. It was like, this is who I am. Like, this is what I stand on. Like, when it comes to my God and it comes to my principles as a man, these are the two things I won't budge on. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with those.
How'd y'all meet?
Child, at the club.
I know that's my baby. Hey.
At the club. And then we went to the strip club together. Like, it was crazy.
So he saw you, was like...
No, we met through a friend who had a friend. My assistant / friend was dating his friend, and they were like, we're gonna go. We were at the bar, and she was like, they want to go to a strip club. Do you want to go? And I was like, I mean, cool. So she was like telling her friend, like, well, he needs to come in and introduce himself to her first. So he came in, he introduced himself, and then we ended up going to the strip club. And he was like, it was like an L-shaped section, and he was like on the far end, and I'm on this far end. Next thing you know, he was like sitting right next to me. It's funny because we had like a little private section, and he was like, I think in Magic City, like when you get like a private room, you have to throw 10,000 or more. And my sister was like, Tammy, talk to him. I'm like, girl, I'm not talking to him. She was like, bitch, I'm trying to take some money, talk to him. So she's sticking it, she's stuffing the ones in her boots, and she's like, keep him distracted. And I'm like, yo. So now I'm on a dummy mission, like, well, yeah, you take the girls out the hood, but not the hood out the girls.
Baby, period.
But yeah, so we just, we just were talking, and we were all twisted, but he got really drunk. And I could see that his friend he was drunk. And I was like, I saw that we were throwing so much money. So I'm like, yo, make sure, I was telling my assistant, like, yo, let's make sure he good. Because he just threw a lot of money. I don't want nobody to try to track him or whatever. So I was like giving him water. And I'm like, just make sure you're good. Like, just make sure you sober up or whatever.
But some of the comments were right on point. Someone said we listen and we don't judge. Someone said they really, they kept telling themselves, we listen and we don't judge, we listen and we don't judge, we listen. And that's so funny because when she was talking about the new man, I was saying the same thing. I was like, Lord, we listen and we don't judge. We listen and we don't judge. But at the same time, you can't help but raise an eyebrow. Like, you can't help but notice that something seems a little off about this new guy. Like, it's something that she's overlooking, or either she's trying so hard to make this new guy sound like he's the perfect match. He's a catch. It's almost kind of like, it's almost like she's trying so hard to prove to everyone, look, I've moved on. I've moved forward with my life, you know. And if they are genuinely happy and in love with each other, that is great. That's perfect. I hope that it continues to be that way. I hope I am wrong, but you can't help, it's just the when she's explaining him and Carlos is asking questions and she's stumbling over her words. And it's like, when a conversation flows, and then when a conversation and you're stumbling over your words and you're trying to figure out how to say it, and what to say, and make it make sense, you it just came off like she was reaching a little bit. Like, she was just over talking, overcompensating for this new guy, trying to make this new guy sound like he's more than what he is. But hey, what do I know? Y'all drop down in the comments and let me know what y'all think about the new boo. Okay. Like I said, I do appreciate her transparency, talking about her relationship with her and Waka. I love the fact that Waka, still treats Charlie like, his own child, and how, Charlie refers to Waka as her dad. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful the way Waka has stepped in and been that father to Charlie that, Charlie never had. That's absolutely beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And I am happy. I'm happy that Tammy and Walker were able to get to a place of, just like I said before, growth, maturity, healing. Both people, taking accountability, um, for their actions and things like that. But I just pray that this new guy is not someone that's just using her. Now, she did say that the new guy has a degree in what did she say? The new guy had a degree in science engineer, aerospace engineer, something like that. And even though, yes, he may have a good job and he has a degree and all that stuff, it still doesn't take away from the fact that he could be spiritually, manipulative. And for those of you who understand what I'm talking about and where I'm coming from when I say that, drop down in the comments. really, let me know what you think. Now, the thing about it is nobody is perfect, right? Um, I'm sure there are a lot of us out there who love God. You're in the process of building a relationship with God. Everybody is on their own spiritual journey. And so we all fall short of God's glory, which means that we sin, we make mistakes. We are not perfect. Um, but you have to be careful how you present yourself, because when you present yourself one way and you act another way, um the way it makes you look, it's just. And if he's saying, "Oh, I'm a man of God," a man of God is not at the strip club, and they're not getting really drunk. They're not getting drunk at the strip club. Also, they've already ended. Okay, and this is Tammy putting her business out there. So I don't need anybody lecturing me about minding my business and blah blah blah, and why do I care about what they got going on XYZ. None of that foolishness, because she's putting her business out there to the public. So she said that they have slept together already, and she said that he is in the process of getting his divorce, which means that he is also still married. Um so many red flags about this guy. I just hope Tammy knows what she's doing, and I'm not calling her dumb because she's very smart. Okay, not to have my words taken out of context. Tammy is very smart. She's very intelligent. You can tell. Her growth, everything. Like I said, her transparency is beautiful, but sometimes you have men out there who can take advantage. They see a woman in a certain position. Okay, they see her in a vulnerable state. And they see how they can make their moves. Some men are very, very calculated. Okay, they know how to play on your emotions. They know what to say. They know how to come off as really convincing. All right, they know how to be really charming. And this is where discernment comes in, that because you need to be able to discern whether or not this person really has your best interest or not, or whether or not they're coming at you with a hidden agenda, or if they're coming to you with motives or the wrong intentions. This is where wisdom and discernment comes in at. And sometimes you can get blindsided. You can. Okay, and it happens to the best of us. It happens to the best of us. The smartest women have gotten caught up by the wrong men because they said all the right things. They knew all the right things to say. They knew how to make themselves sound convincing. They knew how to make themselves appear and sound like, they had it all together. And you are you probably are in a state where you don't want to be alone. You just gotten out of one relationship, and you meet this guy and it's like, up, moving on. Instead of taking a little bit, nothing is wrong with taking a little bit more time just to heal and sit with yourself and get to know yourself again, rediscover yourself again. Nothing is wrong with that, because when you do that, it keeps you from making um the wrong choices and decisions. It keeps you from settling for less than you deserve. And yes, she did recently buy a house. I'm very happy for Tammy. But I gotta raise an eyebrow at this new boo. I pray that this new boo is the opposite. Because and like I said, we don't know him personally. We only know what Tammy shared with us. And for those of us who are aware, And for those of us who do use our discernment, and for those of us who have been there, done that, got the t-shirt for it, it's if you have not seen the interview, I would highly recommend that you go see the interview. It was a very good interview. Um and I'm glad that she's in a better place. But that new boo, I'm side eyeing that new boo until further notice. Until further notice, I am side eyeing that new boo. All right, but yeah, y'all. So the interview with Tammy Rivera and Carlos King, make sure you go check it out. Like I said, once again, just heard her sharing, how she, came up, and her mother being strung out on drugs but getting clean. She also talks about her relationship with Waka's mom, and how they went from, not getting along to being really close to each other. That's beautiful as well. Um, yeah. So drop down in the comments and tell me what y'all think. Let me know y'all opinions on, her growth and her maturity and the relationship dynamic between her and Waka. And Deb, and also this new boo. Let me know what you think, y'all. All right. But it seems like she has, definitely learned some lessons, done some growing, and things like that. And it's a beautiful thing to see. A healed woman is a beautiful woman. So it's beautiful to see. So yeah, but all right, y'all. If you have made it this far with me, I thank you so much. All right, and I do hope that everyone you enjoy the rest of your day, you enjoy the rest of your week. Um, Everybody have a happy holidays. Stay blessed, be safe,